So, what happens when I say the name Dr. Seuss?
Some of the boys and girls want to know, if you give people injections, and do you give them things to make them better?
Does anybody want any special injections? No, I don't think we will give no injections today at all.
It's hard for that iconic, whimsical style not to pop in your head just by mentioning his name. It's the one thing people latch onto when they try to emulate his work.
And now, the Dr. Seuss Bible. Do unto others as they do unto you. That includes you, young Timothy Foo.
However, the real strength of Dr. Seuss was his brilliant satire, which turns out was vastly harder to replicate, even for the Doctor sometimes. Though he had a very prominent run of political cartoons during World War II, mainly dealing with his disapproval for the lack of U.S. involvement before Pearl Harbor. It's almost like he was trying to tell us something. Theodore Seuss Geisel eventually chose what he considered the best audience for his work: children. Not only did he find adults obsolete children in terms of finding simple enjoyment in the abstract and absurd, he found a fertile, untouched territory in which to cultivate his most precious fantasies. And then there's Daisy Head Mayzie, one of the last books to be published under the name Dr. Seuss. Here's the problem. The perfectionist who often spent years of development on each book sadly died in 1991. Daisy Head Mayzie was published in 1995, when they just found it in his workspace. And you know what? You can tell. It's just missing a certain something. That kapownal. That zakazing. See? It takes a certain something special to have made-up words actually sound like they mean something. But they finished it. Right after they made the cartoon. That's right, the animated TV special came out way before the book was even published. Oh yeah, this isn't a cash grab by a corporation that was trying to buy up every studio and property it could at the time.
Captain Planet!
And since the book is just an abridged version of the cartoon, let's take a look at Turner Entertainment presents Daisy Head Mayzie. So our story begins with young Mayzie, when, much to the amusement of her classmates, a daisy sprouts out of her head.
Look what's happening here in this room! Daisy Head Mayzie! She's bursting in bloom!
I told them no good would come from cooking potato chips in sunflower oil, but did they listen?
I'll bet that those roots go way down in her brains! Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head Mayzie!
Daisy Head, Daisy Head.
This from a kid with a degenerative spine and a nerd that came to school in his bunny pajamas?
I've taught in this room 20 years, maybe more. But I've never seen anything like this before.
So I've tried to figure out if there's any deeper meaning to this story. And what I'm seeing here is a girl and a blooming flower. Is this some kind of metaphor for puberty? Is this Dr. Seuss's take on the shower scene from Carrie? It's not out of the realm of possibility. Seuss has dealt with such heavy issues as environmentalism, consumerism, discrimination, and the Cold War.
Oh gee, who's gonna drop it? Will you or will he?
You'd think his take on the change of life would be interesting, if that is indeed what this idea started out as. And I guess the male equivalent of this would be you walk it in my pocket. And do you want to know why I know this is an unfinished project?
Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Mayzie. Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Mayzie.
It's because Dr. Seuss knew more than 2 rhymes.
Daisy Head, Mayzie. Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Mayzie.
Come on! Crazy, hazy, lazy, Scorsese.
Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head.
Now, the principal, good Mr. Gregory Grum, was a very wise man, just as smart as they come.
Of course, no explanation about why the smartest man in town would be teaching elementary. Glug, 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 sniff, sniff. Anyway, now that this guy's introduced, I hope you like hearing about daisies, 'cause that's all we got.
It says, daisies grow on the land. They grow between rocks, they grow also in sand.
Man, there's nothing that turns off an audience faster than some guy spewing a bunch of random facts.
It mentions right here they can grow in a pot, but mention the head of a girl it does not.
You're a lucky man not to have heard of the ruins. Speaking of which, we do learn that Mayzie and her Daisy are connected health-wise, kind of like a reverse E.T.
We want you to take a look at a plant growing out of a little girl's head. But don't do anything hasty because... Oh my. Well, did you see him? You know, the hairy green guy that broke in and did this.
So as the whole town freaks out over the news...
Mrs. McGrew?
This was considered a twist in the mid-90s.
You just blew my mind.
We kill even more running time by having Mayzie literally run from a hive of creepy pedophiles.
Please?
My God.
That Daisy. That girl's the worst problem in town.
Well, you got a pretty awesome town then, compared to Empty Husk and soon-to-be Empty Husk. The mother knows this is all her fault for drinking Miracle Grow when she was pregnant. It was a different time back then. The Let It Grow movement was in full swing. Well, for such a troublemaker, everyone can't wait to cash in on her. From medical grants to political power, and even...
And
I'm really uncomfortable right now. Well, it turns out this guy is a big-time agent, played by the master of sleazy charisma, Tim Curry.
Daisy had Mayzie, spelled out in bright lights. We'll draw kids in the day, and their parents at night.
You look like you're both pretty groovy.
Although young women should always beware of men in bright-colored suits trying to make money off of their flower.
Mayzie, no! Don't be a fool!
Don't turn your back on your friends and the school.
You mean the school that made fun of you and labeled you a menace? That's what I thought. And so Mayzie and her Daisy become overnight sensations. Oh, why did I do that? Sticking my little flower face in cement was really dumb! And you know, I can't help but wonder if this is part of some passive-aggressive jab at companies who just wanted to use the brand name to get an easy buck. I mean, I realize it was bad then.
That's right. Just $14.95 when you spend $35.
But it's almost like they predicted the future of Dr. Seuss.
Daisy had burgers, and Daisy had drinks, Daisy had stockings, and Daisy had sinks.
And a creepy clock that counts down by the hour, to the moment that the law allows Mayzie to be deflowered. However, Mayzie is not happy when she realizes that she's in nothing more than a glorified freak show, and that the manager probably has a series on TLC in the works.
Don't be shy, lady. Have a good stare.
But what I don't get is, why is she just sitting there? Her flower is alive, can understand people, and do things. Make it dance. Give it a little hula hoop.
She had all her money stacked up in tens. But what good is money without all your friends? She had found her dream, but lost her way.
Dream? When did she have a dream? She's barely had 6 seconds of dialogue.
Please?
Uh-oh. I'm going to be famous. Aw, man.
Oh, and I'm sure all the folks responsible for all those other Dr. Seuss movies really took this lesson to heart. Frustrated by this hollow existence, Mayzie runs off as far as she can, breaks down, and cries.
I can never go home. Nobody loves me. Nobody loves me.
Oh God, is that?
Nobody loves me.
Yeah, that's Francesca Marie Smith, the voice actress who played Helga Pataki. I'm sorry, it's just, hearing the voice of Helga say those kind of things just brings back a lot of emotions. It cuts deep. But let's continue.
nobody loves me.
Oh, I just remembered she's also the girl in that one episode of Batman. You know the one! No, the field! Anyway, in the absolute sweetest gesture of self-mutilation, the daisy starts ripping its petals off to prove to Mayzie that her family and friends still love her.
They love me not. They love me?
So, are we just going to ignore the part where the daisy's well-being has a direct correlation with Maisie's health? But then again, I am saying this over a flying cat. After reuniting with her family, Daisy goes back to her old life. Well, mostly old life. Thank you, Daisy. You were the solution to all the problems you caused. I don't get it. I mean, first you think it's going to be a lesson about accepting yourself and others no matter what, but then it turns into a lesson about the price of fame. It wasn't even set up that well. I mean, Mayzie is kind of a non-character in her own story. In the end, I think the story of Daisy Head Mayzie is a lot like the story of the book itself. Everyone saw dollar signs and said, what can we do with this? Maybe I'm being a little too cynical. Perhaps they just wanted to share something left behind by a great talent the world loved. And you know what? I have to say, some of the imagery in this is actually pretty moving. The opening with the cat in the hat gently drifting through the air. It's like giving us a bird's eye view of the world Dr. Seuss created. But it really seems to me like they were pushing this to be the last great Dr. Seuss classic. They even had the cat in the hat narrated. I think just to put some recognizable character in there. He just pops up at the start and at the end to give Daisy a ride home. He'd probably be played by Morgan Freeman in the live-action role. Which brings me to my final observation. With all the movies based on Dr. Seuss properties, why not this one? It's actually the perfect choice when you think about it. Children's book adaptations have become their own genre over the years. Some have been good and some have been bad. But I'm always fascinated to see what they could do to make 90 minutes out of a premise in a 15-page book. And that's all Daisy Head Mayzie seems to be. A loose connection of notions on their way to being something good. The story of a young girl suddenly thrown into the center of attention, a lot of it negative perhaps. Maybe she signs a contract hoping to rub fortune and fame in the faces of those who mocked her. But then she runs off into the city when she realizes that everyone loves the flower and not her. And keep the cat in the hat in there. Yeah, I actually like it. Yeah, I actually think it would be a cool idea to have her meet someone else who might be considered an oddity. Someone to tell her not to be ashamed or exploited for being different, but to make it her own. Oh my god, see if you can get Peter Dinklage.
Daisy Head.
And since it's not a well-known story, people might be more receptive to the changes. Of course, this is probably the same reason this would be one of the last Dr. Seuss stories to get adapted. Doesn't have the same draw as The Cat in the Hat or The Lorax. Might as well remake The Thousand Fingers of Dr. T. Which is a real shame, because I do think Daisy Head Mayzie deserves more attention. But the right kind. The special kind that makes ideas and children grow up into something special. Or they could just get Terry Crews to voice the Daisy. You know.
Now what in this world ever made this thing sprout?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Mayzie. 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 Daisy Head, Daisy Head.
Yes! Went the whole episode without mentioning the words pothead.